A desperate woman knelt at the edge of the great river, pleading for a child. The waters listened. The spirits answered. But what they gave her was no ordinary daughter. For 12 years, Ada grew, her presence drawing whispers in the village. Fish swarmed at her feet. Her skin shimmered under the moonlight. And at night, the river called to her in a voice only she could hear. Then, on the eve of her 12th birthday, the water came to claim her. What happened next would unravel ancient secrets, pit faith against forgotten gods, and force a mother to fight for the child she had prayed for. Because sometimes, the most terrifying spirits are not the ones people fear the most, but the ones they have long forgotten. They thought she was just a girl. They did not know she was born with the river in her veins. This is the story of how a mother's love defied the spirits, and how Ada's greatest choice would determine whether she belonged to the land or the water. Just before we dive deeper into this epic tale, we'd love to know where you're watching from. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow, we've got an extra special story lined up for you, and you definitely won't want to miss it. The night was thick with silence, broken only by the distant croaking of frogs and the occasional rustling of leaves. The full moon hung low over the river, its silver light shimmering on the water's surface. A gentle breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it an eerie song, a melody so soft, so haunting, that it sent shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to listen. Beside the river, a small girl stood barefoot in the damp earth. Her name was Ada. She was only 7 years old, yet her presence seemed to command the attention of the waters. The river rippled at her feet, as though it recognized her. Schools of fish darted through the shallows, gathering close, their silver bodies catching the moonlight. Fireflies flickered around her like tiny stars, forming a glowing halo. Ada lifted her small hands, her dark eyes wide with wonder. She didn't understand why the river called to her. She only knew that when she was near it, she felt complete. Whole. Like she belonged. Ada. Ada, come away from there. The voice snapped through the air, sharp with fear. A woman rushed forward, her wrapper tied hastily around her waist. Her breath came in heavy gasps, her heart pounding. It was Ada's mother, Neka. Her face, usually warm and full of love, was twisted with panic. She grabbed Ada's arm and pulled her back, away from the water. "Didn't I tell you not to come here at night?" Neka's voice shook as she crouched to meet her daughter's eyes. "Why won't you listen to me, Anne? Do you know what could happen?" Ada blinked up at her mother, confused. "But, Mama, the river sings to me. Can't you hear it?" Neka felt her blood turn to ice. The whispers of the river. The way the fish swam to her daughter. The glow of her skin under the moonlight. It was happening. Just as the old shaman had warned her 7 years ago. The river spirits would come for their daughter. And there was nothing she could do to stop them. Neka tightened her grip on Ada's arm and pulled her away from the riverbank, her heart pounding like the talking drum at the village square. The wind carried the sound of rustling leaves, but beneath it, she swore she could hear something else, a whisper, soft and distant, like voices carried on the water. She did not stop running until they reached their small mud hut at the edge of the village. She pushed Ada inside and quickly shut the wooden door behind them, bolting it as though the river spirits themselves were at her heels. "Ada," Neka panted, her hands trembling as she turned to face her daughter. "You must never go to the river at night again. Do you hear me?" Ada frowned. "But Mama, the river. I don't want to hear it." Neka snapped, surprising even herself. She rarely raised her voice at Ada. The child's eyes widened in shock, then welled with unshed tears. Neka softened, pulling Ada into a tight embrace. "I'm sorry, my child," she whispered into her daughter's thick, coiled hair. I'm afraid." "Afraid of what?" Ada's voice was small. Neka hesitated. She could not tell Ada the truth. She could not tell her about the visit to the shaman so many years ago, the enchanted water she had drunk, or the warning he had given her. "This child you will bear," the shaman had said, his voice like the wind through dry leaves. "She will not be like other children. The river will call to her, for she belongs to it. And when she turns 12, they will come for her." Neka had dismissed the warning back then, too desperate for a child to care about anything else. But now, the signs were becoming impossible to ignore. The fish that gathered whenever Ada neared the water. The way her skin glowed under the moonlight, as though she was made of the stars themselves. And now, the whispers. A heavy weight settled in Neka's chest. She had to protect her daughter. No matter what it took. But how could she fight against the river? How could she fight against the spirits that had given her this precious gift in the first place? And worse still, what would happen when Ada turned 12? The next morning, Neka did something she had not done in years. She left her home before the sun had fully risen and made her way to the small church at the center of the village. The church was nothing more than a simple mud structure with a thatched roof, but to Neka, it was a place of refuge. A place of power. Inside, Pastor Emmanuel was already preparing for the morning prayers. He was a tall, lean man with a voice that carried authority. When he saw Neka enter, he set aside his Bible and studied her with a knowing gaze. "Sister Neka," he greeted. "It has been a long time since you last came here." Neka nodded, wringing her hands. "Pastor, I need your help." "Tell me." She hesitated before speaking, then slowly, she told him everything, about Ada, about the river, about the strange things that had been happening. When she finished, Pastor Emmanuel was silent for a long time. Then, he let out a deep sigh. "Sister Neka," he said, his voice heavy, "what you have told me is not something to take lightly." "What do I do, Pastor?" she pleaded. "How do I save my child?" Pastor Emmanuel steepled his fingers. "The spirits of the river do not give without expecting something in return. They gave you a child, and now, they will come to claim what they believe is theirs." Neka's stomach twisted in fear. "But there is hope," Pastor Emmanuel continued. "You must keep Ada away from the river at all costs. You must cover her in prayer, bring her to the house of God, and strengthen her spirit so that when the time comes, she will not be easily taken." Neka nodded quickly. "I will do whatever it takes." But deep down, a horrible question lingered in her mind. Would it be enough? Neka left the church with a heavy heart. The pastor's words echoed in her mind. "You must keep Ada away from the river at all costs." She tightened her wrapper around her waist as she hurried home. The sun had begun its slow climb into the sky, painting the village in soft golden hues. Women were already at their morning chores, pounding yam, sweeping courtyards, and fetching water. Neka's heart clenched at the sight of the women with their children. She had spent years yearning for a child, suffering the whispers and pitying looks of the villagers. When she had finally conceived after drinking the enchanted water, she had believed her suffering was over. But now, the suffering had only taken another form. As she neared her compound, she slowed her steps. The door to her hut was slightly ajar. She had left it closed. Fear coiled in her belly like a hungry snake. She pushed the door open slowly. The hut was empty, but her heart sank when she saw that Ada's sleeping mat was also empty. "Ada," she called, her voice trembling. No answer. She turned sharply and ran towards the river. Her feet pounded against the dusty path, her breath coming in short, desperate gasps. She reached the riverbank and stopped abruptly. There, standing in the shallow water, was Ada. The little girl had her arms stretched out, her fingers grazing the surface of the water as if she were trying to touch something unseen. The fish swam around her, circling her feet in a way that was unnatural. And then, the river moved. Not like a normal ripple. Not like the gentle ebb and flow of water. The river shifted, like something beneath it had stirred. "Ada!" Neka screamed. The girl turned, startled, as if waking from a trance. The fish scattered instantly, disappearing into the depths. Neka rushed forward and grabbed Ada, pulling her away from the water. "What are you doing?" she demanded, shaking her daughter slightly. Ada blinked up at her. "Mama, I heard them," she said softly. "Heard who?" Neka's heart pounded painfully in her chest. "The voices in the water," Ada whispered. "They were calling my name." By the time Neka dragged Ada back home, her hands were shaking. She locked the door behind them, then knelt in front of her daughter, gripping her shoulders. "You will never go near that river again. Do you understand me?" Ada hesitated, then nodded slowly. But Neka saw the curiosity in her daughter's eyes. The longing. Fear gripped her heart like a vice. She needed help. She needed someone who knew more about these things than Pastor Emmanuel. And she knew exactly who to go to. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Neka made her way to the outskirts of the village, to the hut of an old woman named Mama Yuzo. Mama Yuzo was feared and respected in equal measure. She was known to be a woman of great wisdom, one who understood the ways of the spirits. When Neka arrived, the old woman was sitting outside her hut, smoking a long pipe. She eyed Neka with amusement. "So, you have finally come," Mama Yuzo said, exhaling a thin stream of smoke. "I was wondering how long you would wait." Neka hesitated. "You knew I would come." Mama Yuzo chuckled. "The river has been restless. The spirits are watching." She leaned forward, tapping the side of her pipe. "Tell me, Neka, what exactly did you drink all those years ago?" Neka swallowed. "The shaman, he gave me enchanted water. He said it would bless me with a child." Mama Yuzo's eyes darkened. "Foolish girl. Did you not ask what price you would have to pay?" Tears burned in Neka's eyes. "I was desperate. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted a child." Mama Yuzo sighed deeply. "And now the river spirits have come to collect their due." Neka clenched her fists. "I won't let them take her." Mama Yuzo studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Then you must prepare for battle." A cold chill passed over Neka's skin. A battle, against the spirits of the river. Could she even win? The wind howled through the village that night. The trees swayed violently, their branches scratching against rooftops like unseen claws. It was an unnatural wind, the kind that carried whispers, whispers that only Neka could hear. She lay awake on her sleeping mat, her arms wrapped tightly around Ada. Every shadow in the room felt like a lurking presence, every rustling leaf outside sent a fresh wave of terror through her body. Then, just as her eyelids began to grow heavy, it happened. A sharp knock at the door. Neka bolted upright, her heart slamming against her ribs. Who would come at this hour? She held her breath, straining her ears. Then she heard it, an eerie, wet sloshing sound, like something dripping onto the floor just outside her door. Ada stirred in her sleep, shifting slightly against Neka's chest. The knock came again, louder this time. Then, a voice. Soft. Feminine. "Ada, come." Neka's blood ran cold. The voice did not belong to anyone in the village. It was too smooth, too melodic, like a song whispered through the wind. She grabbed Ada and held her tighter. "Leave us alone," she hissed. Silence. Then, laughter. Not human laughter. Not the warm chuckle of a villager or the joyful giggle of a child. No, this laughter was hollow, echoing, like it came from beneath the water itself. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the presence was gone. The wind died down. The whispers faded. But Neka knew. This was only the beginning. The next morning, Neka rushed back to the church, Ada clinging tightly to her hand. Pastor Emmanuel was waiting for them as though he had expected their arrival. "You heard them, didn't you?" he asked gravely. Neka nodded. "They came to my door last night. They called for her." The pastor closed his eyes and let out a deep sigh. "Then the time is drawing near." Neka clenched her fists. "What do I do?" Pastor Emmanuel studied her for a long moment before speaking. "You must dedicate Ada to God," he said. "You must bring her into the house of the Lord and pray over her every day. The river spirits cannot take what belongs to the Almighty." Neka nodded. "I will do it." But deep in her heart, doubt gnawed at her. The river had given her Ada. Would mere prayers be enough to keep the spirits from taking her back? As the days passed, Neka did everything the pastor instructed. She took Ada to church every morning. She bathed her in holy water. She prayed over her with every breath. But the village had begun to whisper. They had seen Ada at the river. They had seen the way the fish followed her, the way the moonlight seemed to embrace her skin. "The girl is not one of us," they muttered. "She is a child of Mommy Wada. The spirits will come for her, and when they do, they may take more than just her." Fear spread like wildfire through the village. Mothers pulled their children away when Ada walked by. Men refused to greet Neka in the market. Then, one evening, a group of elders came to her hut. "You must take the child away from this village," the eldest among them said, "before she brings misfortune upon us all." Neka's hands trembled with rage. "She is my daughter. She has done nothing wrong." "She is not just your daughter," another elder said darkly. "She belongs to the river." The word struck Neka like a slap. Had she really believed she could outrun this? That she could defy the spirits and keep her child? She clenched her fists. No. She had fought too hard for Ada. She would not lose her now. Even if she had to fight the river itself. That night, Neka sat beside Ada, watching over her as she slept. The soft glow of the oil lamp flickered against the mud walls, casting long shadows. Outside, the village had fallen into silence, but Neka could not shake the feeling that someone, was watching. Her hands trembled as she wiped a damp cloth over Ada's forehead. The girl had been restless, shifting and mumbling in her sleep. Then, without warning, Ada whimpered. Neka leaned closer. Her daughter's small hands clutched at the mat beneath her. Her breath came in quick, shallow gasps. Then, she spoke, her voice distant, as though she were somewhere far, far away. "They are coming, Mama," Ada whispered. Neka's stomach twisted. "Who is coming, my child?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Them," Ada murmured. Then, slowly, she turned her head. Neka's breath caught in her throat. The girl's dark brown eyes had changed. Now, they shimmered, silver blue, like the moon reflecting on the river's surface. Neka gasped and stumbled backward. Her heart pounded against her ribs. This was no ordinary sign. This was the mark of the river. The spirits were claiming their child. At dawn, Neka made her way back to Mama Yuzo's hut, her hands clenched tightly around Ada's small wrist. The girl walked beside her, her head lowered, her skin still carrying that unnatural glow. Mama Yuzo was waiting for them outside, sitting on a small wooden stool, as if she had known they were coming. "You saw it, didn't you?" the old woman said, puffing on her pipe. Neka swallowed hard. Her eyes, they changed. Mama Yuzo nodded solemnly. "It has begun." Neka felt something tighten around her throat. "What do I do?" The old woman studied Ada for a long moment, then stood. "Come inside," she said. Inside the hut, the air was thick with the scent of burning herbs. A small clay pot bubbled over the fire. Strange symbols had been drawn into the dirt floor. Mama Yuzo reached for a calabash filled with water and poured some into a wooden bowl. She placed it in front of Ada. "Look inside," she commanded. Ada hesitated but obeyed. The water rippled. Then, slowly, an image began to form. A woman, tall and regal, her dark skin gleaming like polished ebony, rose from the depths of the water. Her long, braided hair dripped with pearls. Her eyes glowed the same silver blue that had flickered in Ada's the night before. And she was smiling. Neka felt her knees go weak. "Who is she?" she whispered. Mama Yuzo's voice was grave. "She is the priestess of the water," she said. "And she is the one who will come for your daughter." The moment they left Mama Yuzo's hut, Neka knew what she had to do. She had to flee. The river spirits were growing stronger. Ada's connection to them was undeniable. If they stayed in the village, the spirits would come for her on her 12th birthday, just as the shaman had warned. She had 5 years. 5 years to break the river's hold on her daughter. She could not do it alone. And so, she made a decision. She would take Ada to the city. To a place where the spirits could not reach her. To a place where faith was stronger than the river's call. But Neka knew one thing for certain. The river would not let them go so easily. Neka wasted no time. The moment she stepped back into her compound, she gathered a small bundle of belongings, clothes, dried food, and a few coins wrapped in a cloth. Her hands trembled as she packed, but she forced herself to move quickly. Ada sat on the mat, her wide silver blue eyes watching her mother in silence. "We're leaving, Ada," Neka said, her voice firm. The girl tilted her head slightly, as if listening to something Neka could not hear. "They won't like that," she whispered. A chill ran down Neka's spine. "I don't care what they like," she snapped, tying the cloth bundle tightly. "I am your mother. Not them." Ada's lower lip trembled. "But, Mama, what if I belong to them?" Neka's breath caught in her throat. "No," she said fiercely, kneeling before her daughter. "You belong to me. Do you hear me? You are my child." Ada nodded slowly, but her eyes remained distant. Then, suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside. Neka jumped to her feet. She ran to the doorway and froze. The river had risen. A flood of water rushed down the village path, twisting and turning like a living serpent. It moved unnaturally fast, as if searching for something, someone. Ada. The villagers screamed, running in different directions. Children were pulled into huts, women grabbed their belongings, and men scrambled to stop the incoming water with sandbags. But it was no ordinary flood. The water ignored barriers, curling around them like fingers reaching for prey. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, it stopped. The water stilled in the middle of the village. And in the reflection of the water's surface, Neka saw them. Figures, tall, beautiful, and terrifying, standing beneath the surface of the river. Their long hair floated around them like silk, their glowing eyes locked onto one thing. Ada. Neka felt her heart hammer against her ribs. They were here. And they would not stop until they had her daughter. Neka did not wait to see what would happen next. She grabbed Ada's hand and ran. The water behind them sloshed violently, as if angry that its prey had slipped away. She ran past huts, past the market square, past the church where Pastor Emmanuel stood, clutching his Bible, shouting prayers into the air. "Neka," he called. "Come inside. We must pray." But Neka did not stop. She had made her decision. She would take Ada far away. To a place where no river spirits could find her. They reached the edge of the village, where a single dirt road led to the nearest town. A trader's cart was passing by, loaded with yams and baskets of plantains. Neka waved desperately. "Please. Take us with you." The trader, an old man with a kind face, hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Hurry," he said, pulling them onto the cart. As the cart rolled forward, Nneka dared to look back. The village had returned to silence. The water had disappeared, as if it had never been there. But she knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The river had given her a child. And now, the river would stop at nothing to take her back. The cart jostled violently as it rolled over the uneven dirt road, kicking up clouds of dust in its wake. Nneka held Ada close, her arms wrapped protectively around her daughter as she glanced back at the fading outline of their village. A part of her ached for the home they were leaving behind, the familiar smells of roasted maize, the sound of women pounding fufu in the evening, the laughter of children playing in the dusty paths. But there was no turning back now. The trader, Baba Ojo, glanced at them from the front of the cart. His old, wrinkled face was filled with curiosity. "You look like you are running from something," he said. Nneka hesitated. How could she explain what was happening? Would he even believe her? "We need to get to the city," she finally said. Baba Ojo nodded. "The city is far, but I can take you as far as Nkala town. From there, you will find transport." Nneka let out a breath of relief. Nkala was a trading town, busy and full of people. The spirits would not be able to reach them there. At least, she hoped so. As the sun began to set, Baba Ojo pulled the cart to a stop near a clearing where other travelers had set up small fires to rest for the night. "We will sleep here," he said. "Tomorrow, we continue to Nkala." Nneka helped Ada down from the cart. The girl had been quiet the whole journey, her silver blue eyes staring at the sky. She had not spoken, not even once. Nneka knelt beside her, brushing a stray lock of hair from Ada's face. "Are you hungry, my child?" Ada shook her head slowly. "I can hear them," she whispered. A cold feeling wrapped around Nneka's heart. "Hear who?" she asked. Ada turned her gaze toward a small stream that ran beside the clearing. The water was still, too still. "Them," Ada said. "They are whispering. They are waiting." Nneka felt her breath catch in her throat. She grabbed Ada's hand and pulled her away from the stream. They had to leave early, before the spirits found them again. That night, Nneka struggled to sleep. She lay beside Ada, listening to the sounds of the other travelers, the crackling of firewood, the distant murmurs of traders telling stories. Then, a sound. A soft, rippling sound. Her eyes snapped open. She turned her head toward the stream. And there, just above the water, stood a woman. Tall and graceful, her dark skin shimmered under the moonlight, her long braids dripping with beads of water. Her eyes glowed like silver coins, fixed directly on Nneka. Nneka felt her body turn to ice. The woman smiled. Then, in a voice as smooth as flowing water, she whispered, "Why do you run, Nneka?" Nneka's heart pounded. She tried to move, to grab Ada, but her body would not obey. The woman took a step forward, her bare feet gliding over the surface of the water as if she were weightless. "She is ours," the woman continued. "You cannot keep her from us." Nneka clenched her teeth. "She is my daughter." The woman laughed, a soft, musical sound. "The river does not take what is not given," she said. "You drank from our waters. You asked for a child. Did you think there would be no price?" Tears burned in Nneka's eyes. "No. I never agreed to this." The woman's smile faded. "You cannot fight what is already decided," she said. "On her 12th birthday, she will return to us. Nothing you do will change that." Then, with a ripple of water, she was gone. Nneka gasped, her body suddenly free. She scrambled up and grabbed Ada, holding her close. She would fight, even if it meant defying the river itself. Dawn arrived with an eerie stillness. The morning air felt heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Nneka wasted no time. As soon as Baba Ojo stirred from his sleeping mat, she rushed to him. "We must leave now," she said urgently. The old trader studied her with narrowed eyes. He had seen the fear in her face the night before, had heard her restless movements in the dark. "You are running from something far worse than men," he murmured. "Is it spirits?" Nneka hesitated. Would he believe her? Would he throw her and Ada from his cart if he knew the truth? "We just need to get Tinkala quickly," she said, avoiding his question. Baba Ojo did not press her. With a simple nod, he packed his goods, hitched the oxen to the cart, and they set off down the road once more. But Nneka could not shake the feeling that someone, was following them. And as the cart rumbled forward, she saw it. A shimmer in the distance. A shadow in the trees. A presence watching. The river spirits were not giving up. They were coming. By noon, they reached the outskirts of Nkala town. The busy streets buzzed with life, traders shouting about their goods, women balancing baskets of yams on their heads, children running barefoot through the market square. It felt safe. For the first time in days, Nneka let out a breath of relief. But then, something happened. Ada, who had been silent for most of the journey, suddenly sat up straight in the cart. Her head turned sharply toward a well in the middle of the market. Her silver-blue eyes darkened. The moment she stepped out of the cart, the air around her changed. A hush fell over the marketplace. The well, still and undisturbed just moments before, began to ripple. The water inside churned as if something beneath the surface was waking up. Nneka's blood turned cold. She grabbed Ada's wrist. "Do not go near it," she hissed. But Ada did not respond. She was listening to something only she could hear. Then, from deep inside the well, a voice rose. "Come, child of the river." A hand shot up from the water, long and pale, reaching for Ada. Nneka screamed. She yanked Ada backward, just as the water exploded from the well, splashing onto the streets. The villagers gasped and ran, shouting in confusion. The spirits had found them. And this time, they were not hiding. Nneka ran. With Ada in her arms, she pushed through the panicked crowd, dodging frightened villagers and overturned market stalls. She had no idea where she was going. She just knew she had to get away. Then, a bell rang in the distance. A church. Nneka spotted the tall, white building standing at the far end of the town, its wooden doors wide open. Without thinking, she sprinted toward it. The moment she crossed the threshold, a rush of heat washed over her body. The voices stopped. The whispers faded. The water fell still. She had made it. Inside the church, a tall, dark-skinned man stood before the altar, a Bible clutched in his hand. His piercing eyes locked onto Nneka. "You have brought something powerful into my house," he said. Nneka collapsed to her knees, panting. "Please," she gasped. "Help us." The pastor stepped forward, his gaze falling on Ada. The girl stared back at him with glowing silver eyes. "This child," he murmured. "She is caught between two worlds." Nneka swallowed hard. "Then how do I save her?" The pastor's face darkened. "You cannot fight the spirits alone," he said. "But there is a way." Nneka's heart pounded. "Tell me." The pastor lifted his Bible. "You must dedicate her to the Almighty. If she belongs to Him, the spirits can never take her." Nneka hesitated. She had tried prayer before. She had followed Pastor Emmanuel's instructions in the village. And yet, the spirits were still coming. What if faith was not enough? What if the river's claim was too strong? Ada shifted in her arms. "Mama," she whispered. "They are angry." Nneka's chest tightened. She had to make a choice. And she had to make it soon. The church was quiet, but Neka felt no peace. The pastor's words echoed in her mind. Dedicate her to the Almighty. If she belongs to Him, the spirits can never take her. But could it really be that simple? She clutched Ada tightly, her heart pounding. She had always believed in God, but the river spirits were real. She had seen them with her own eyes. Would prayer alone be enough to break their hold on her daughter? Before she could answer, the air inside the church shifted. The temperature dropped. Ada shivered in her arms. Then, the church doors burst open. A powerful gust of wind howled through the building, knocking over candles and flipping pages of the pastor's Bible. The wooden cross above the altar rattled, as if something unseen had taken hold of it. And then, from the doorway, a voice echoed. "You cannot keep her from us." Neka gasped. A figure stood in the doorway, tall and shadowed, its long hair moving like waves in the wind. Though its features were hidden, Neka recognized the voice. It was the same woman from the river. The spirits had followed them. The pastor stepped forward, raising his Bible. "In the name of the Almighty, leave this place." The spirit laughed, a soft, haunting sound that sent chills through the room. "Do you think your prayers can stop what was promised?" the spirit whispered. "The river gave her life. And on her 12th birthday, she will return to us." Neka shook her head furiously. "No. She is my daughter." The spirit's glowing eyes fixed on her. "She is both yours and ours." The wind grew stronger. The pews creaked, the candles flickered, and Ada clutched her mother's arm, her small body trembling. The pastor did not waver. He stepped in front of Neka and Ada, his voice rising. "By the power of the Almighty, I break your hold over this child." The spirit let out a low hiss, and for the first time, its form wavered, flickering like a reflection on water. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the presence vanished. The wind stopped. The church fell silent. But the message was clear. The river spirits were not gone. And they would be back. Neka sat in the dimly lit church, her mind racing. The spirits were growing stronger. They had followed her across villages, appeared in dreams, reached for Ada through wells and rivers. And now, they had dared to enter a holy place. She could not run forever. The pastor sat across from her, his face grave. "This battle will not be easy." Neka nodded. "What must I do?" The pastor exhaled deeply. "The spirits will return. They will not stop until they have what they believe is theirs. If you wish to break their hold, you must prepare for war." Neka's hands trembled, but she tightened her grip on Ada. "Tell me how." The pastor stood and walked to a small wooden chest beside the altar. He opened it and pulled out a bottle of holy oil, a white cloth, and a bundle of dry herbs. "These are weapons of faith," he said. "But they alone will not be enough. You must strengthen your spirit, prepare your heart. The battle is not just for your daughter's life, it is for her soul." Neka swallowed hard. Ada sat quietly, watching the pastor with unblinking eyes. Then she spoke. "They are waiting for us," she said softly. The pastor looked at her, his eyes sharp. "Where?" Ada tilted her head, as if listening to something unseen. Then she turned to her mother. "At the river." A heavy silence filled the room. Neka's stomach clenched. The river. The place where it all began. The spirits were calling. And Neka knew. The final battle was drawing near. The weight of the spirits' warning hung heavy in the air. Neka knew she could not run anymore. If she wanted to save Ada, she had to face the river spirits where they were strongest. The thought sent shivers down her spine. The pastor placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You are not alone," he said. "We will fight together." Neka nodded, though fear still clawed at her chest. She glanced at Ada, who sat on the wooden bench, her silver blue eyes distant. The child was listening to something, voices only she could hear. Neka knelt before her daughter and gently cupped her face. "Ada, listen to me," she whispered. "You are my child. You belong with me." Ada blinked slowly. "They say I belong to the water too." Neka's heart clenched. "No," she said firmly. "You belong here." Ada tilted her head as if considering her mother's words, then wrapped her small arms around Neka's neck. "I'm scared, Mama." Neka held her tightly. "I am too," she admitted. "But I will not let them take you." The pastor cleared his throat. "We must leave before nightfall," he said. "Darkness is when the spirits are strongest." Neka nodded. She wiped the tears from her face and stood, her resolve hardening. It was time to end this. The journey back to the river felt different from before. The trees seemed taller, their shadows darker. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying voices Neka could not understand. Ada clutched her mother's hand as they walked, her small fingers ice cold. As they neared the water, the pastor began to pray, his voice firm and unwavering. He sprinkled holy oil on the ground, creating a barrier between them and whatever lurked in the depths. The river was calm. Too calm. The surface was like glass, reflecting the golden light of the setting sun. Neka exhaled shakily. She had seen this stillness before. Then, the water moved. A single ripple spread across the surface, slow and deliberate. Then another. Then another. And then, something rose from the river. A figure, tall and elegant, her dark skin shimmering like wet stone. Her silver eyes locked onto Neka. The spirit woman. She was not alone. More figures emerged, men, women, children, all with the same glowing eyes, their hair floating around them like water. Ada inhaled sharply. "They're here." Neka's breath caught in her throat. The spirit woman stepped forward, her bare feet never touching the ground. "It is time," she said. "No," Neka whispered, tightening her grip on Ada. "She is my child." The spirit woman tilted her head. "And yet, she hears our call. She feels our pull." Ada trembled. The pastor took a step forward, raising his Bible. "This child belongs to the Almighty," he declared. "Your hold over her is broken." The spirits laughed. A soft, rippling sound, like water lapping against the shore. "You do not understand," the spirit woman said. "She was never just yours." The river began to churn, its stillness breaking into violent waves. The battle had begun. The ground beneath Neka trembled as the river roared to life. The once calm waters churned violently, sending waves crashing against the banks. Ada clutched her mother's dress, her silver blue eyes wide with fear. The spirits stood in perfect stillness, untouched by the chaos around them. Their leader, the spirit woman with flowing hair and glowing eyes, raised a slender hand. At her command, the water obeyed, surging toward them like a living creature. The pastor did not hesitate. He stepped forward, lifting his Bible high, his voice cutting through the roaring wind. "In the name of the Almighty, I command you, be gone." His words rang with power, and for a moment, the spirits flinched. The waters hesitated, trembling as if unsure. Then the spirit woman smiled. "Your words mean nothing here, preacher," she said softly. "The river does not fear you." She turned her gaze to Ada. "Come, child. You have outgrown the land. You belong with us." Ada took a shaky step forward, her small body trembling. Neka grabbed her arm. "No, Ada. Stay with me." But the girl's eyes were distant, her lips slightly parted. It was as if she were caught between two worlds, one foot in her mother's arms, the other in the river's embrace. The wind howled. The water raged. And then, the spirit woman whispered, "Choose, child." Ada blinked slowly. Then, to Neka's horror, she took another step toward the water. "No!" Neka screamed. She grabbed Ada, pulling her back, but the girl's body was cold, her skin slick with moisture. She was slipping from her grasp, as if the river itself was reaching through her. Tears streamed down Neka's face. "Ada, look at me. Look at me." The child hesitated. Her silver blue eyes flickered, conflict warring inside her. The spirit woman's voice was gentle, coaxing. "Come, little one. You are meant for more than this world of dust and sorrow." The waters surged closer. The pastor dropped to his knees, praying faster, louder. He sprinkled more holy oil onto the earth, but the spirits did not retreat. The river belonged to them. Neka's heart pounded. She had to do something, anything, before she lost her daughter forever. With shaking hands, she cupped Ada's face, forcing her to look into her mother's eyes. "My love," she whispered desperately. "Remember who you are." Ada's breath hitched. "You are my daughter," Neka pleaded. "I carried you, I nursed you, I held you when you cried." The river did not do that. "I did." For the first time, Ada's glowing eyes dimmed. "Mama." "Yes, my Ada. Stay with me." The spirit woman frowned. "She is more than what you can give her." Neka's voice turned fierce. "She is mine. And I will fight for her." She pressed her forehead against Ada's. "Please, my child. Choose me." The wind stilled. The river slowed. Ada gasped, her small hands tightening on her mother's dress. Then she turned away from the spirits. "I want to stay with my mama," she whispered. Silence. Then the spirit woman's face darkened. "You defy us." Ada's body convulsed, as if invisible hands were pulling her toward the river. She whimpered in pain. Neka held her tight. "No. Leave her alone." The pastor's voice rang out. "She has chosen her mother. The spirits have no claim over her." The spirit woman's expression twisted in fury. The water rose behind her, towering like a tidal wave, ready to consume them all. "Then you shall suffer for your defiance," she hissed. The river came crashing down. Neka braced herself, clutching Ada as the massive wave crashed toward them. The roaring water swallowed everything in its path, uprooting trees and sweeping away the land beneath their feet. The pastor's voice was lost in the deafening roar. Neka's world became a blur of water and darkness. Cold hands pulled at her, dragging her down. She gasped, her lungs burning as she fought to keep hold of her daughter. But the river was too strong. Ada was slipping away. "No." Neka screamed, her voice muffled beneath the churning water. She kicked, struggled, fought against the invisible hands trying to take her child. Through the murky depths, she saw the spirit woman, floating effortlessly, her glowing eyes locked onto Ada. "She belongs with us." Neka shook her head wildly, bubbles escaping from her mouth. She could feel herself sinking. Her arms were growing weak. The river was winning. Then a golden light pierced the darkness. It came from Ada. The girl's small body glowed brighter than ever before, her skin shimmering with an otherworldly light. The hands gripping Neka loosened, the spirits recoiling from the glow. The spirit woman hissed, shielding her face. "No, this is not possible." Ada's eyes snapped open. She reached for her mother. And the river exploded with light. Neka gasped as she and Ada were thrown onto the riverbank, coughing and sputtering. The floodwaters receded instantly, as if something had pushed them back. She looked down at Ada, who lay weakly in her arms, her glow fading. The spirit woman stood at the river's edge, her silver eyes burning with fury. You have denied your true nature, child. Ada shivered. Neka pulled her closer. She is my daughter. She chooses to stay. The spirit woman's face twisted with rage. The other spirits emerged behind her, their expressions unreadable. Then, the spirit woman spoke again, her voice softer, but laced with warning. This is not over. The river calmed. The wind died down. And just like that, the spirits were gone. Neka let out a shaking breath, pressing a kiss to Ada's forehead. The battle had been won. But the war was far from over. The night air was thick with silence. No wind, no rustling trees, no croaking frogs, just an eerie stillness that made Neka's skin crawl. She held Ada close, feeling the child's faint heartbeat against her chest. The girl's glow had faded, leaving her small and fragile, barely conscious. The pastor knelt beside them, his robes soaked and torn. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with determination. The spirits have withdrawn, for now. Neka swallowed hard. For now. She turned toward the river. The once angry waters now lay still, as if nothing had happened. But Neka knew the truth. They were watching. Waiting. The spirit woman's last words echoed in her mind. This is not over. Neka's grip on Ada tightened. They would return. And next time, they might not leave without their prize. By morning, news of the river's wrath had spread across the village like wildfire. People whispered in hushed tones, their eyes darting to Neka's hut. Mothers pulled their children closer when she passed. The elders gathered under the great baobab tree, their faces grim. She defied the water spirits, one man murmured. They will curse us all, an old woman spat. She should have let the girl go, another whispered. Neka ignored them. She had no time for their fear. Inside her hut, Ada lay curled on a mat, her breathing steady but weak. The pastor sat nearby, grinding herbs into a fine paste. She needs rest, he said. The battle drained her spirit. Neka wiped Ada's damp forehead. And when she wakes... The pastor hesitated. She will be different. Neka's stomach tightened. How? She has touched both worlds. The land and the water. The spirits may have retreated, but they left a mark on her. Neka looked at her daughter, fear gnawing at her heart. What had the spirits done to her child? For 3 days, Ada did not wake. She barely moved. Barely breathed. Neka stayed by her side, refusing to leave, while the pastor prayed over her, anointing her with holy oil. Then, on the 4th night, Ada stirred. Neka gasped. Ada. The girl's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she was silent. Then, Mama, she whispered. Neka let out a sob of relief, hugging her tight. My child. You're awake. Ada blinked slowly, confusion clouding her face. I heard them, she said softly. They were calling me. Neka's body tensed. The spirits. Ada nodded. They said I belonged to them. Neka's heart pounded. No, Ada. You belong here. Ada sat up, touching her own skin. I feel strange. Then, she turned to the water pot beside them. And the water inside moved. Neka gasped. Ada's fingers twitched, and the water trembled in response, tiny ripples forming on the surface. The pastor's eyes widened. The spirits did not take her, he whispered. But they changed her. Neka's blood ran cold. What had they done to her child? Neka's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the rippling water. Ada's small fingers twitched again, and the water inside the clay pot trembled as if answering her call. The pastor grabbed his Bible. This is unnatural, he muttered, his face pale. Neka shook her head. No. This is just a trick of the light. Ada turned her glowing silver blue eyes to her mother. It's not a trick, Mama, she whispered. I can feel the water. She stretched her hand toward the pot again. The water inside rose. It floated upward in a thin, twisting stream, hovering in the air like a living thing. Neka's heartbeat pounded in her ears. The pastor crossed himself. Mother of mercy, he whispered. Ada's hand dropped, and the water splashed back into the pot. She looked up at her mother, fear flickering in her wide eyes. I don't know how to stop it, she admitted. Neka swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. You don't have to be afraid, my love, she said gently. She cupped Ada's small face in her hands, though inside, she was trembling. The spirits had left a mark on her child. And now, Ada carried their power. That night, Neka could not sleep. She lay beside Ada, watching her chest rise and fall. Her daughter was alive. Safe. But not untouched. The spirits had taken something from her, or given her something in return. A gift. A curse. Neka didn't know which. She traced a trembling hand over Ada's forehead, brushing away stray curls. Outside, the village was still. But in the distance, the river whispered. Neka turned toward the sound, her heart pounding. Somewhere out there, the spirits were watching. Waiting. And she feared, deeply, that this was far from over. By morning, the village knew. A child who could control water. A child touched by the spirits. A child who should not exist. The whispers started first. She's cursed. She will bring disaster. She is one of them. Then the stares. The fearful glances. And finally, the elders summoned Neka. She stood before them, gripping Ada's hand. The chief, an old man with wise, weary eyes, studied them for a long time. Neka, he said finally, is it true? Neka hesitated. Ada clutched her hand. She has done nothing wrong, Neka said firmly. The chief's face darkened. That is not an answer. Neka lifted her chin. She is my child. That is all that matters. Murmurs rippled through the gathered villagers. She belongs to the water now, an old woman spat. We should send her back before she brings destruction upon us. A murmur of agreement spread. Neka's heart pounded. No. She is still Ada. She is still one of us. The chief sighed. You must understand our fear, Neka. His gaze fell on Ada, whose silver blue eyes shimmered in the morning light. She is different. And the spirits do not give without expecting something in return. Neka stepped in front of Ada protectively. You will not take her from me. A heavy silence fell. Then, the chief's voice was grave. If we allow her to stay, and the spirits come again, will you be ready to face them? Neka swallowed hard. She did not know the answer. But she would not lose her child. I will fight, she vowed. The chief studied her for a long time, then finally nodded. For now, she stays, he said. But if the spirits return, you must be ready. Neka nodded, but inside, she knew. The spirits would return. And next time, they would not ask. They would take. That night, Neka did not sleep. She sat awake, watching over Ada, her heart heavy with fear. The chief had allowed them to stay, but the look in the villagers' eyes haunted her. Fear could turn to hatred. And hatred could lead to violence. The spirits weren't the only danger anymore. A sharp knock at the door startled her. Neka rose cautiously, wrapping a shawl around herself. When she opened the door, she gasped. It was an old woman, one of the village elders. Mama Ejima. Her face was lined with age, her eyes dark and unreadable. but it was what she carried that made Neka's blood run cold. A small clay pot, filled with blackened water. "The river spirits have sent a warning," Mama Ejima whispered. Neka's hands trembled. "What do you mean?" The old woman stepped closer. "They have not given up on your child. They will come for her on her 12th birthday. And if you fight them again—" She lifted the pot and smashed it on the ground. Dark water splattered across the earth, sizzling as it touched the dirt. The air filled with the scent of decay. Neka gasped, stepping back. Mama Ejima's eyes softened. "Take the girl and leave, Neka," she whispered urgently. "Before it is too late." Neka shook her head. "I will not run." The old woman sighed. "Then prepare yourself. The river always takes what it is owed." And with that, she turned and vanished into the night. Neka stared at the dark, steaming water on the ground, her heart pounding. The spirits had sent their warning. She had less than 5 years before they came for her daughter. And she had no idea how to stop them. That same night, Ada had a dream. She was standing in the middle of the river. The water was calm, stretching endlessly in all directions. The moon hung low in the sky, glowing silver, just like her eyes. Then, she heard it. A voice. Soft. Whispering. Calling her name. "Ada, come home." She turned slowly. And there, rising from the water, was the spirit woman. Her long hair floated around her, her silver eyes glowing like stars. Ada's heart pounded. "You're not real." The spirit woman smiled. "And yet, here we are." Ada took a step back. "I don't belong to you." The spirit woman's smile widened. "You are still young, child. But in time, you will understand." She lifted a hand. The water around Ada rose, swirling gently, lifting her off the surface. "The river is in your blood. You cannot run from what you are." Ada struggled, but the water held her firmly. "On your 12th birthday, you will return to us. And when that day comes—" The spirit woman's voice turned soft, almost kind. "You will not want to leave." The water swirled faster, dragging Ada down. She opened her mouth to scream. And woke up. Gasping. Sweating. The sound of rushing water still echoing in her ears. "Mama," Ada whispered. "I had a dream." Neka's heart clenched. "Tell me." Ada hesitated. Then she whispered, "She's coming for me. She said I won't want to leave." Neka swallowed hard. She had feared this. The spirits weren't just waiting. They were calling her child. She took Ada's hands in hers, her grip firm. "You will never leave me," she said fiercely. "Do you hear me?" "Never." Ada nodded. But Neka could see the doubt in her eyes. Something inside Ada was changing. Something dangerous. And Neka was running out of time to stop it. The next morning, Neka wasted no time. She took Ada straight to the pastor's house, knocking urgently on the wooden door. When he opened it, his face was lined with exhaustion, as if he, too, had not slept. "You felt it, didn't you?" he murmured, stepping aside to let them in. Neka nodded, gripping Ada's hand. They came to her in a dream. The pastor sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "The spirits are clever. If they cannot take her by force, they will make her want to go." Ada flinched. She had not told her mother the worst part of the dream, how, for a moment, she had wanted to follow the spirit woman. The pastor sat across from them and placed his Bible on the table. "Neka, the river has claimed many before Ada. People who were born different. People touched by the water. Some were taken as children, some as adults. And none ever returned." Neka's hands tightened into fists. "I won't let that happen." The pastor's gaze was somber. It may not be your choice. A heavy silence filled the room. Then, the pastor spoke again, his voice grave. There is only one way to break the river's hold. Neka leaned forward. Tell me. You must find the original covenant. She frowned. What do you mean? The spirits never take without reason. Somewhere, long ago, a promise was made. A debt was created. And Ada is the price they are coming to collect. Neka's stomach twisted. A debt. Who had made such a deal? Her mind flashed back to the day she had gone to the shaman, the day she drank the enchanted water. Had she unknowingly bargained with the spirits? She looked at Ada, her precious child, the miracle she had prayed for. Had she cursed her daughter before she was even born? The pastor's voice cut through her thoughts. You must find out who made the covenant, and how to break it. Neka swallowed hard. And if I can't? The pastor looked at Ada. Then, at the river beyond the village. And his next words sent chills down Neka's spine. Then, on her 12th birthday, they will take her. There was only one person who might have answers. The shaman. Neka had not seen him since the day he gave her the enchanted water. She had never returned to his hut, never asked questions. She had been too blinded by joy when she found out she was pregnant. Now, she needed to know the truth. That evening, she left Ada with the pastor and set off alone. The shaman's hut stood deep in the forest, far from the village. As Neka approached, her heart pounded. The old man was sitting outside, waiting for her. I knew you would come, he said in his raspy voice. Neka clenched her fists. You lied to me. The shaman smiled faintly. I gave you what you asked for. At what cost? She demanded. Tell me the truth, old man. What did I agree to? The shaman sighed and leaned forward. Long ago, a covenant was made between our ancestors and the water spirits, he said. In exchange for their blessings, their protection, their gifts, the spirits demanded something in return. Neka's throat went dry. What? The firstborn child of any woman who drank from the enchanted water. The ground seemed to shift beneath her feet. No, she whispered. That can't be. The shaman's eyes bore into hers. You drank, Neka. And in doing so, you sealed your daughter's fate. Neka shook her head. No. There must be a way to undo it. The shaman exhaled deeply. There is. Hope flared in her chest. Tell me. But his next words made her blood run cold. You must return to the river and face Mami Wada herself. Neka's breath caught. You mean, go to the spirit world? The shaman nodded. There, you must bargain with the water spirits. Neka clenched her fists. And what if they refuse? The shaman's gaze darkened. Then the only way to break the covenant is through sacrifice. Neka's stomach turned. Whose sacrifice? The shaman's expression did not change. The mother's. A chill ran through her. If she failed, if Mami Wada did not release Ada, there was only one way to save her. She would have to give her own life in exchange. Neka walked back to the village in a daze. The words rang in her ears. The mother's sacrifice. Her life, for Ada's. There was no question in her heart. She would do it if it meant saving her child. But first, she had to try the other way. She had to enter the spirit world and bargain with Mami Wada. When she reached the pastor's house, Ada ran to her, wrapping her small arms around her waist. Mama, you're back, she whispered. Neka knelt and held her daughter tightly. She kissed her forehead and whispered a silent vow. I will save you, my child. No matter the cost. Then, she rose and faced the pastor. I need your help, she said. I must enter the spirit world. The pastor's face paled. That is forbidden. Neka shook her head. Then show me how to do it anyway. A long silence stretched between them. Then, the pastor sighed. If you go, there is no guarantee you will return. Neka's voice was steady. If I don't go, they will take my daughter. The pastor closed his eyes, then nodded. Then let us pray. And so, as the moon rose high in the sky, Neka prepared herself. Tomorrow, she would go to the river. Tomorrow, she would enter the spirit world. Tomorrow, she would face Mami Wata. And she would not leave without her daughter's freedom. The night air was thick with the scent of damp earth and river mist. The village lay in silence, unaware of the battle Neka was about to face. She stood at the riverbank, her heart pounding. The moon shone brightly above, casting silver light upon the water. The river looked peaceful, but she knew better. Beneath its surface, the spirits were waiting. The pastor stood beside her, his Bible clutched tightly in his hands. He had been reluctant to help, but in the end, he knew there was no other way. You must be careful, he warned. The spirits are clever. They may trick you, deceive you. Do not trust anything you see. Neka nodded. She had no illusions about what lay ahead. The shaman had given her instructions. To enter the spirit world, she had to surrender herself to the river. The very thought made her shudder, but she had no choice. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the water. It was colder than she expected, sending a sharp chill through her body. She took another step. Then another. The river rose around her, pulling at her clothes, wrapping around her like fingers. She closed her eyes and let herself sink. The water swallowed her whole. For a moment, there was nothing but darkness. Silence. Then, a glow. A soft, shimmering light surrounded her, and suddenly, she was no longer drowning. She was floating. When she opened her eyes, she gasped. She was no longer in the river. She was in a vast, endless ocean that stretched as far as she could see. The water around her glowed with an eerie blue light, and strange creatures swam in the distance, their eyes watching her curiously. The air was thick with the scent of salt and something else, magic. Then, she heard it. A voice. You have finally come. Neka turned sharply. And there, rising from the water like a goddess, was Mami Wata. She was more beautiful than anything Neka had ever seen. Her dark skin shimmered like pearls, and her long, flowing hair floated around her like black waves. Her silver eyes glowed in the darkness, wise and ancient. Neka swallowed hard, forcing herself to stand tall. I have come for my daughter, she said firmly. Mami Wata smiled, revealing teeth that were just a little too sharp. She belongs to us. Neka's fists clenched. No. She is my child. Mami Wata tilted her head. You are mistaken. She was ours before she was yours. The words sent a chill through Neka's bones. I will not let you take her, she said, her voice steady. Mami Wata sighed. You mortals never understand. The river does not steal. It only reclaims. She raised a hand, and suddenly, the water around them shifted. A vision appeared, of the past. Neka watched in horror as she saw herself, kneeling before the shaman. She saw the enchanted water touch her lips. And then, she saw something she had never noticed before. The moment she drank, a shadowy figure appeared behind her. A spirit. Watching. Waiting. Neka's breath caught. She had not conceived Ada on her own. The river had given her a child. And now, it was coming to take her back. Neka's heart pounded. No, she whispered. This can't be true. Mami Wata watched her with calm amusement. You prayed for a child, she said. And we answered. The Spirit Queen leaned closer. Did you really think life is given without a price? Neka's breath came in ragged gasps. The truth was clearer than ever. Ada was never meant to stay with her. She was a gift. Alone. And now, the river had come to collect. Tears burned in Neka's eyes. Ada was hers. Her baby. Her miracle. She could not lose her. She would not. She lifted her chin, her voice trembling but firm. There must be another way. Mami Wada arched an eyebrow. You wish to bargain? Neka nodded. Take me instead. Mami Wada's expression did not change. A mother's sacrifice, she murmured. A powerful offering. The Spirit Queen studied Neka for a long time. Then, she smiled. But I do not want your life, Neka. Neka froze. Then what do you want? Mami Wada's silver eyes gleamed. Your faith. A shiver ran down Neka's spine. You must swear loyalty to us, Mami Wada continued. You must serve the river. If you do this, your daughter will be free. Neka's hands trembled. If she agreed, she would no longer belong to herself. She would belong to the spirits. But Ada would be safe. She looked into Mami Wada's eyes and made her choice. I accept. Mami Wada's smile widened. Then it is done. She reached forward, pressing a cool finger against Neka's forehead. A rush of power surged through Neka's body. And suddenly, she was falling. Neka gasped as her body hit the riverbank. She coughed, water spilling from her lips. She was back. The pastor was kneeling beside her, his hands shaking. Neka. What happened? Neka sat up slowly. Something was different. She could feel the river now. Its whispers. Its power. Its claim on her. She turned to look at Ada, who was still asleep inside the pastor's hut. Safe. Tears filled her eyes. She had done it. Ada was free. But at what cost? As she stood, she heard the river call her name. Soft. Gentle. Unyielding. She was no longer just a mother. She was now a servant of the water. And her journey had only just begun. The river did not forget. The night after Neka returned from the spirit world, she awoke to the sound of whispers. They slithered through the walls of her hut, curling into her ears like mist. At first, they were faint, just the sound of water lapping against the shore. But as she listened, the whispers became words. Come to us. The river calls you. You are ours now. Neka pressed her hands against her ears, but the voices did not stop. They were inside her, woven into her very being. She sat up in bed, breathless, sweat clinging to her skin. Something was different. The air around her felt damp. Her fingers tingled as if a current was running through them. Then, she saw it. A small pool of water at her feet. She hadn't spilled anything. The roof wasn't leaking. Yet, the water was there, forming shapes. Moving. Alive. Neka gasped and scrambled back, knocking over a wooden stool. The pool of water twisted, then rose. For a moment, she thought she saw a face, a woman's face, watching her with glowing silver eyes. Then, just as quickly, the water collapsed into itself and soaked into the ground. Silence. Neka's heart pounded. The river was inside her now. And it was awake. The days passed, but Neka was not the same. The villagers noticed first. She moves differently, they whispered as she passed. She does not blink as much. Have you seen her eyes? They look lighter. Neka avoided their stares, but deep down, she knew they were right. Her body felt different. She was stronger. Faster. She could hear things she never heard before, the soft ripples of water even when she was far from the river, the heartbeat of a fish swimming beneath the surface. And her reflection. The first time she looked into the water, she gasped. Her eyes, once a deep brown, now had flecks of silver. Ada was the only one who did not fear her. One evening, the little girl sat beside her as Neka wove a mat. "Mama, why do you smell like rain?" Neka's hands froze. I don't know what you mean, Ada." Ada tilted her head, her bright eyes curious. "You smell like the river now." Neka swallowed. Even her own child could sense the change. She reached out, stroking Ada's cheek. "No matter what happens, I am still your mother." Ada giggled and threw her arms around her. "I know that, Mama." Neka held her close. But deep inside, a question haunted her. For how much longer? One morning, Neka went to the river alone. She needed answers. She knelt by the water, staring at her reflection. Soft ripples distorted her face, making her features shift and blur. Then, a voice. "You are ready." Neka gasped. The water rose before her, swirling like a living thing. Then, it entered her. A cold rush shot through her veins, like icy tendrils wrapping around her bones. Her breath hitched. And suddenly, she understood. The river was not just water. It was power. It was life. And now, it flowed through her. She lifted her hands, and to her shock, water obeyed her command. A small stream lifted from the river, curling around her fingers like a snake. She could control it. She could hear it. She could feel the spirits moving beneath the surface, whispering secrets only she could understand. The river had not just claimed her. It had gifted her. And for the first time, Neka did not feel afraid. She felt powerful. But power always comes with a price. One evening, as Neka walked back from the river, she heard a scream. She ran towards the sound and found a young boy trapped at the river's edge, his foot caught in the roots of a tree. The water was rising fast. Without thinking, she lifted her hand. The river listened. The water stilled. The villagers arrived just in time to see the boy climb out, unharmed. They also saw Neka standing in the water, completely dry. A stunned silence fell over them. Then, someone whispered. "She commands the river." Another voice, fearful. "She is no longer one of us." Neka swallowed hard. She had saved the boy. Yet, they looked at her as if she were a monster. The realization hit her like a stone. She was no longer just Neka, the mother. She was Neka, the river's servant. And the village would never see her the same way again. Neka stood at the river's edge that night, staring at the moonlit water. The spirits had given her power. The villagers feared her. And Ada. Ada still loved her. But for how long? Could she truly remain in the village, pretending to be normal? Or was she meant for something more? A ripple spread across the river's surface. Then, a voice. "Come deeper, Neka." She took a step forward. The water lapped at her ankles, welcoming her home. For the first time, she did not resist. She closed her eyes. And let the river take her. The water curled around Neka's ankles, cool and gentle, urging her forward. "Come deeper, Neka." The voice was soft, hypnotic. It called to the part of her that had already changed, the part that felt the river's pulse in her veins. But then... "Mama." Neka's eyes snapped open. Ada stood at the edge of the river, her small figure outlined by the moonlight. Her little hands were clenched, her face filled with confusion and fear. "Mama, where are you going?" Neka froze. The river pulled. Ada called. Her heart twisted. The spirits whispered in her ear. You do not belong there anymore." But when Neka looked at her daughter, her miracle, the child she had prayed for, she knew the spirits were wrong. She did belong. With Ada. With her people. She took a deep breath and stepped back onto the shore. The water did not resist, but she felt it watching. The river spirits had let her go this time. But they would not stop calling her. Word spread fast. The villagers whispered behind her back. "She stands too close to the river at night. She speaks to things we cannot see. She is one of them now." At the marketplace, women pulled their children away when she walked by. The elders avoided her gaze. Even the pastor, who had once promised to protect her, could no longer hide his suspicion. Only Ada still ran into her arms, still looked at her with love, not fear. But Neka knew it was only a matter of time. The village had seen what she could do. They knew she had power. And power, in their eyes, was dangerous. She could not let them turn against her. She had to prove that she was still Neka. Still a mother. Still one of them. She had to fight. Determined to reclaim her place in the village, Neka went to the church. She knelt before the pastor, her voice steady. "I want to be free of the river." The pastor studied her, his eyes wary. "You made a deal with the spirits, Neka. Such things cannot be undone." Neka clenched her fists. "There must be a way." The pastor sighed. "If you wish to fight their hold, you must strengthen your faith. You must resist their whispers. Reject their gifts." "Then I will," Neka said firmly. The pastor hesitated. "Be careful. If you refuse them for too long, they may grow angry." Neka nodded. She did not care. She would fight. For Ada. For her humanity. For her soul. The night after she visited the church, the river changed. The water, once calm, churned violently. The trees along the shore bent under an unseen force. The air smelled of rain, though the sky was clear. And the whispers, oh, the whispers were louder than ever. "You reject us. You turn away from the gift we have given you. You are ungrateful, Neka." As she tried to sleep, her hut trembled. The walls shook as if the earth itself was warning her. She pressed her hands over her ears, whispering prayers, trying to block out the voices. But the spirits would not be ignored. They would not let her go so easily. The next morning, disaster struck. A child disappeared. A young girl named Ifananya had gone to the river to fetch water, and never returned. Panic spread through the village. "She was taken," the elders said. "The river is angry," the women whispered. And then, someone pointed at Neka. "She is the one who angered them." Neka's heart pounded. "No," she said. "I had nothing to do with this." But the villagers did not believe her. They had seen her power. They had seen the way the water listened to her. If the river was angry, it had to be her fault. The elders gathered. And a decision was made. If the child was not found, Neka would be cast out. Banished. Thrown to the river she had tried to escape. Neka had only one night to save the girl. Or she would lose everything. Neka knew what she had to do. She had to return to the river. To bargain. To fight. To take back what the spirits had stolen. As the sun set, she kissed Ada's forehead. "Stay inside," she whispered. Then, she turned to the water. And walked into the depths. The river swallowed her whole. And the spirits were waiting. The moment Neka stepped into the river, the water pulled. It dragged her down, faster than she could resist. Her breath hitched as the cold wrapped around her, pressing against her skin like unseen hands. Darkness swallowed her, but she did not panic. She knew where she was going. She had been here before. The spirit world. The river carried her deep into its realm. Glowing fish darted past her, their silver eyes watching. Strange plants swayed as if whispering secrets. Then, she saw her. Ifananya. The little girl floated, eyes closed, her body limp. Trapped. Neka lunged forward, but before she could reach her, the water shifted. A shadow loomed before her. A figure emerged. It was not human. Her skin shimmered like fish scales, her long hair flowing like seaweed. Mami Wata. The river goddess. She smiled, revealing sharp, pearly teeth. You have returned to us, child. Neka steadied herself. Let the girl go. Mami Wata's silver eyes gleamed. She does not belong to you. She belongs to her family. Neka argued. She is just a child. The goddess tilted her head. And you? Are you not my child too? The water trembled around them, whispering Neka's name. You cannot fight what you are. But Neka's heart burned. She was not theirs. She would never be theirs. With a deep breath, she reached out, not to the water, but to herself. To her strength. To her love for Ada. The river spirits had given her power. But she was still Neka. And she refused to be owned. Mami Wata watched as Neka raised her hands. But this time, she did not call upon the river's magic. She called upon her own spirit. I do not belong to you, she said firmly. I am not just a servant of the water. The river trembled. Mami Wata's smile faded. Neka stepped forward. You gave me life, but I choose who I am. Her voice rose, powerful and steady. And I choose to be free. The water shuddered. The glowing fish scattered. The river was angry. Waves crashed around her, swirling like a storm. The spirits shrieked, but Neka stood firm. She reached for Ifananya. And broke through. The moment her fingers touched the child, the water exploded with light. A sharp cry filled the air. Then, silence. Neka gasped as she found herself on the riverbank. She was back. The village torches flickered in the distance. And in her arms, Ifananya coughed, alive. The girl's eyes fluttered open. You saved me, she whispered. Tears filled Neka's eyes. She held the child close, her heart pounding. She had done it. She had won. When Neka returned with Ifananya, the village fell silent. The elders gathered, their faces grave. She brought the girl back, one said. But at what cost, another whispered. The pastor stepped forward. Neka has fought against the river. She has proven she is not their servant. The chief nodded. She may stay. Relief flooded through Neka. She turned to Ada, who ran into her arms. Mama. Neka hugged her daughter tightly. She had fought the river. She had won back her life. But deep inside, she knew. The spirits were not finished with her yet. That night, as she lay beside Ada, a cold wind brushed against her cheek. A voice whispered in her ear. You may have won this time. But the river never forgets. Neka's breath hitched. She turned, but no one was there. The night was still. The village was safe. But the river's words haunted her. Was she truly free? Or was this battle just the beginning? Days passed. Neka tried to move on. She returned to the marketplace, spoke with the women, and cared for Ada. But something felt wrong. The river was too quiet. No whispers. No ripples. No strange happenings in the night. It was as if the spirits were watching. Waiting. She could still feel the river inside her. The pulse of the water. The call beneath the surface. And though she tried to ignore it, she knew. The river was not finished with her. One night, the dream came. She stood in the middle of the river, the water still as glass. The moonlight made her skin glow. She looked down, her feet were gone. Instead, long, shimmering fins stretched beneath the water. She gasped, stumbling back, but the river held her firm. Then, she heard the voice. Neka. She turned. Mami Wata stood before her, tall and beautiful, her silver eyes filled with something unreadable. Why do you resist? You are one of us. No, Neka whispered. I broke free. Mami Wata smiled. Did you? The river rippled. Neka felt something shift in her chest, something changing. She clutched her arms. Her skin shimmered. No. No, this wasn't real. She would not change. She refused. With all her strength, she fought the dream. She forced herself to wake up. But before she did, Mami Wata's voice whispered one last time. If you do not return, we will take what you love most. Neka shot up from sleep. Her chest heaved. Sweat covered her skin. The room was dark. But something was wrong. She turned. Ada's mat was empty. Her heart stopped. Ada, she called. No answer. She scrambled to her feet, searching. The door was open. And outside, small footprints led toward the river. Neka's blood froze. The spirits had warned her. If you do not return, we will take what you love most. No, she whispered. Then she ran. Neka reached the riverbank. The water was glowing. A soft mist curled above the surface. And there, standing at the edge of the water, Ada. She was barefoot, her little white dress fluttering in the wind. Her eyes were open, but distant. As if she were dreaming. Ada. Neka screamed, running toward her. But before she could reach her, Ada stepped forward. Her tiny foot touched the water. And then, she began to sink. Neka lunged. She grabbed Ada's arm, pulling her back. The child gasped, snapping out of her trance. Mama, she whispered. But before Neka could answer, the river erupted. Water crashed upward, swirling into a towering figure. Mami Wata. Her silver eyes shone in the darkness. You were warned, she said. Her voice was soft, but powerful. Neka clutched Ada tightly. She is just a child. She has nothing to do with this. Mami Wata tilted her head. She is our child. You drank from our water. She was born from our gift. She is my daughter. Neka cried. Not yours. The river goddess smiled. Then make your choice. The air grew heavy. The water trembled. You can return to the river willingly, Mami Wata said, and we will let the girl go. Or. The water swirled around Ada's feet. She will take your place. Neka's breath caught. A choice. Her freedom, or Ada's life. The village was far away. No one could help her now. She was alone. Just her. Ada. And the river. The spirits waited. What would she choose? Neka's heart pounded. She had fought so hard. She had escaped. She had won. But now, the river was demanding its price. And if she did nothing, Ada would be taken. She looked down at her daughter. Ada was still half asleep, her tiny fingers clinging to Neka's arm. So small. So innocent. Neka's miracle. Tears filled her eyes. I love you, she whispered, pressing a kiss to Ada's forehead. Then, she let go. She stepped toward the river. I'll go, she said. Mami Wata smiled. The water rose. The river spirits sang. And the last thing Neka saw before she was pulled beneath the surface was Ada's scream. The moment the water swallowed Neka, the world vanished. No sky. No air. Only darkness. She did not struggle. There was no point. The river spirits had won. She had given herself up for Ada. That was all that mattered. But as she sank deeper, she felt something change. The water was no longer cold. It was alive. A voice whispered through the currents. "You belong to us now." Neka closed her eyes. She did not want to belong to them. But she had no choice. The river had taken her. And she did not know if she would ever return. On the riverbank, Ada screamed. The water had swallowed her mother. Just like that. Gone. "No," she cried, trying to run forward. Strong arms caught her. It was the pastor. "No, child," he said firmly. "She is gone." Ada kicked and fought, but he held her back. The villagers gathered around, murmuring in shock. She gave herself to the river. The spirits have taken her. It was the only way to save the child. Ada's little heart pounded. She refused to believe this was the end. She clutched the pastor's robes, her voice shaking. "Bring her back." His face fell. "There is nothing we can do." But Ada's eyes burned with determination. If no one would help her, she would save her mother herself. That night, while the village mourned, Ada made her plan. She waited until the house was quiet. Then she slipped outside. The moon glowed over the river. She took a deep breath. Then, she walked toward it. But before she reached the shore, a voice stopped her. "Going somewhere, little one?" Ada froze. An old woman sat beneath a tree, her wrinkled fingers twisting a long string of beads. It was Elder Nwaka, the oldest woman in the village. She had seen many things. Ada swallowed hard. "I have to save my mother." The elder sighed. "The river does not give back what it takes, child." "But I will make it," Ada said, her small fists clenching. "I will bring her back." The elder studied her. Then, after a long silence, she nodded. "There may be a way." Ada's eyes widened. "Tell me." Elder Nwaka leaned in close, her voice a whisper. "You must find the Odu." Ada blinked. "The what?" "The Odu," the elder repeated. "The sacred golden shell. It holds power over the water spirits. If you find it, you may have the strength to command the river." Ada's heart pounded. The river had taken her mother. But if this Odu could help her, then she would find it. No matter what. Before dawn, Ada set off. She did not tell anyone. She only carried a small bag of food, a cloth tied around her waist, and a single goal in her heart. She would find the Odu. She would save her mother. No matter how dangerous it was. The river spirits had taken Neka. But Ada was coming for her. And she would not stop. Until she won. Ada walked for hours. The village disappeared behind her. The river flowed beside her, whispering secrets in the wind. She followed Elder Nwaka's words, "Find the Odu." But where? She had never heard of such a thing before. The sun climbed high. Her feet ached. Just as she was about to stop, she heard a voice. "Looking for something, little one?" Ada spun around. A man stood by the riverbank, watching her. His skin was dark as the night, his eyes like pools of water. He wore a robe made of woven grass, and a long staff rested in his hand. Ada took a step back. "Who are you?" she asked. The man smiled. "Some call me Oak." He tapped his staff on the ground. I know these waters. I know the spirits. And I know what you seek. Ada's heart leapt. You know where to find the Odu. Oak chuckled. Perhaps. His eyes twinkled. But the question is, do you know what it costs? Ada's hands clenched. I will do anything, she said. I have to save my mother. Oak tilted his head. Brave words, little one. But power is never free. Ada swallowed hard. What must I do? Oak studied her. Then, he dipped his hand into the river. When he lifted it, water ran through his fingers, but did not fall. It floated in the air, shimmering. The Odu is hidden deep within the Cave of Echoes, he said. It is guarded by something ancient. Something that does not like to be disturbed. Ada's heart pounded. A cave. A guardian. She had never faced anything like that before. But if it meant saving her mother, she would face anything. I will go, she said. Oak nodded. Then we must begin. He turned, tapping his staff on the ground. The river shifted. And suddenly, a narrow stone path rose from the water. Ada's eyes widened. This way, Oak said. The cave is waiting. Ada took a deep breath. Then she followed him. Straight into the unknown. The path led them deep into the forest. The trees grew taller. The air turned cool. Soon, the ground sloped downward. And then, Ada saw it. A great black cave. Its mouth was wide and dark, like a sleeping beast. The air hummed. A strange sound drifted from inside, whispers. Ada shivered. Oak stopped beside her. This is the Cave of Echoes, he said. The Odu is inside. Ada swallowed. She stepped forward. But Oak grabbed her shoulder. Be careful, he warned. The cave remembers all who enter. It will test you. Ada met his gaze. Then let it test me. And with that, she stepped inside. The moment Ada stepped into the cave, the whispers grew louder. They wrapped around her, curling through the air like invisible hands. Turn back. You are too weak. The river has already taken your mother. Ada's heart pounded. The voices sounded like her own thoughts. But she shook her head. No, she whispered. I won't listen. She took another step forward. The cave walls were rough and damp. Water dripped from the ceiling. Oak followed behind her, his staff tapping softly. The cave tests your spirit, he said. It knows your fears. Ada swallowed. She had many fears. But she would not let them win. She kept walking. And then, the ground disappeared beneath her. Ada screamed as she fell. The air rushed past her. Then, she landed. But she was not in the cave anymore. She was home. The sun was shining. The village was whole. And standing in front of her was her mother. Neka smiled. Ada, my child, she said softly. You did well. You don't need to fight anymore. Tears filled Ada's eyes. Mama, she whispered. Yes, Neka said. She held out her arms. Come to me. Ada's feet moved forward. But then, something felt wrong. Her mother's smile did not reach her eyes. And Ada noticed her feet were not touching the ground. She was floating. Like a spirit. Ada froze. This wasn't real. This was a trick. She clenched her fists. You're not my mother, she said. The figure blinked. Then, its smile vanished. The world around Ada shattered. And she was back in the cave, standing at the edge of a deep, dark pit. Oak caught her arm just in time. You almost fell, he said. The cave tried to trap you in an illusion. Ada's chest heaved. It had felt so real. But she had seen through it. She had won. Oak smiled. You are stronger than I thought. Ada straightened. I have to be. Then, without another word, she kept walking. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. Then, they saw it. A small pedestal sat in the middle of the cave. And resting on top, was the Odu. It was beautiful. A golden shell, glowing softly in the darkness. Ada's heart leapt. She had found it. She ran forward. And the ground shook. Oak grabbed her arm. Wait. The cave rumbled. And then, something moved. A great shadow rose from the darkness. A pair of glowing eyes opened. A deep voice boomed. Who dares disturb my cave? Ada's breath caught. She turned. And saw it. A massive serpent, its scales gleaming like polished stone, its head reaching the ceiling. The guardian of the Odu. And it was awake. The serpent towered over Ada and Oak. Its glowing eyes locked onto them. You have come for the Odu, it hissed. But it is not yours to take. Ada's heart pounded. If she fought, she would lose. The serpent was too strong. She had to think. She took a deep breath. Then she smiled. "Oh, great guardian," she said, her voice steady. "I did not come to steal." The serpent's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you here?" Ada tilted her head. "I came to see if the Odu is truly as powerful as the stories say." The serpent flicked its tongue. "Powerful enough to destroy you." Ada nodded. "But also powerful enough to see truth, right?" The serpent hesitated. Ada took a step forward. If the Odu belongs only to the worthy, then it must know who is worthy. The serpent studied her. "What are you saying, child?" Ada smiled wider. "I propose a challenge." Aka's eyes widened. The serpent let out a deep, rumbling laugh. "A challenge? Against me?" Ada nodded. "If I pass, the Odu is mine." The serpent lowered its massive head. "And if you fail?" Ada swallowed. "Then I leave and never return." The serpent's eyes gleamed. "Very well, child. Let us see if you are truly worthy." The cave hummed with energy. The serpent slithered in a slow circle around Ada. "If you are as clever as you say, answer my riddle." Ada's hands clenched. A riddle. She could do this. The serpent's voice boomed. "I have no mouth, but I speak the truth. I have no eyes, but I show you the way. I am nothing, yet I can be everything. What am I?" Ada's mind raced. No mouth, but it speaks. No eyes, but it shows the way. Nothing, yet everything. She thought of the river, of the whispers in the wind, of the moonlight on the water. And then, she knew. She smiled. The answer is, a reflection. The serpent's body froze. The cave fell silent. Then, it let out a long, deep hiss. "You are correct." Oak let out a breath of relief. Ada stood tall. She had won. The serpent slowly lowered its great head. "You are worthy, child," it said. "Take the Odu." Ada stepped forward. She reached out and touched the golden shell. Warmth spread through her fingers. The Odu glowed brighter. Power hummed in the air. Ada lifted it from the pedestal. The moment she did, the cave shook. But this time, it was not in anger. It was acceptance. The serpent slowly curled back into the darkness. "Go now," it rumbled. "Use its power wisely." Ada clutched the Odu to her chest. She had done it. She had outsmarted the guardian. Now, she had the power to save her mother. She turned to Oak. "Let's go," she said. Oak smiled. "The river is waiting." And together, they left the cave, the Odu shining in Ada's hands. Ada and Oak stepped out of the cave. The sun had disappeared. The sky was dark, and a cold wind blew through the trees. Ada shivered. Something felt wrong. She clutched the Odu tightly. "We must hurry," she said. But Oak held up a hand. "Wait." His voice was tense. "We are not alone." Ada froze. The trees whispered. The wind howled. Then, a shadow moved. From the darkness, figures emerged. Tall. Silent. Eyes glowing white. Their skin dripped with water. Their feet did not touch the ground. Ada's breath caught. She knew what they were. The spirits of the river. And they were waiting for her. One of the spirits stepped forward. Its voice was like rushing water. "The Odu belongs to us." Ada held it tighter. "No," she said. "I won it fairly." The spirit's eyes glowed brighter. "You do not understand, child. The Odu is not just a prize. It is a key." Ada's heart pounded. A key to what? The spirits did not answer. Instead, the wind screamed. The trees shook. And suddenly, the Odu burned in Ada's hands. Pain shot through her fingers. She gasped and nearly dropped it. Oak grabbed her arm. "Hold on," he shouted. But the spirits were closing in. "You do not belong to the land anymore, Ada. You are one of us now." Ada's eyes widened. "No," she whispered. But deep inside her, something stirred. A memory. A calling. And for the first time, she felt it. The pull of the water. The spirits circled her. "Come with us, Ada. You were never meant to stay on land." Ada's mind swirled. She thought of her mother. Her village. Her old life. She thought of the whispers in her dreams. The way the water called to her. The way the fish gathered when she neared the river. Was this her true destiny? Was she meant to return to the water? She shook her head. No. Not yet. She had a promise to keep. "I choose my mother," she said. She lifted the Odu. It glowed brighter. The spirits hissed. "Then we will take you by force." And the wind roared. The ground split. The trees trembled. And the spirits attacked. Ada raised the Odu. It pulsed with light. The spirits screamed. The wind rushed back. And then, everything stilled. The spirits froze. Their glowing eyes dimmed. The air felt lighter. Ada's chest heaved. She had done it. She had stopped them. But as she looked down at the Odu, its light flickering, she realized something. The Odu was changing her. Her fingers shimmered like water. Her breath felt different. She was becoming something else. Oak grabbed her shoulder. "Ada, we need to go." Ada blinked. She looked at the spirits. They did not move. But their words remained in her mind. "You were never meant to stay on land." She shuddered. Then she turned away. And together, she and Oak ran toward the river. But deep inside, she knew. She was running out of time. Ada and Oak ran. The forest seemed endless. Every shadow looked like a spirit waiting to grab her. Every whisper in the wind sounded like a warning. Oak glanced at her. "Ada, your hands." She looked down. Her fingers shimmered. Like water. Like the spirits. Panic rose in her chest. She clenched her hands into fists. Not yet. Not yet. She had to reach the river. She had to save her mother. Then, the trees moved. Roots rose from the ground. Branches twisted together. The forest blocked their path. Ada skidded to a stop. Oak cursed under his breath. "We're trapped." Ada spun around. The trees behind them shifted too. Closing in. "Something doesn't want us to leave." Ada gritted her teeth. She raised the ODU. It pulsed with light. The trees shook. But they did not part. Instead, a voice echoed through the air. "You took what is not yours." The forest itself was speaking. Ada's stomach twisted. She thought she had defeated the spirits. But something stronger was here. And it was angry. The earth rumbled. Leaves swirled into the air, forming a shape. A tall figure stepped forward. Its eyes glowed green like the heart of the forest. Its skin was dark bark, its hair a crown of vines. Ada's throat went dry. She knew what this was. It was the spirit of the land. Older than the river. Older than the village. And it was watching her. "You have awakened the ODU," it said. "And now you must pay the price." Ada's breath caught. She glanced at Oak. He looked just as terrified. The spirit raised a hand. "The river spirits took your mother. Now, the land will take you." Vines snapped forward. Ada jumped back. "No," she shouted. "I'm not yours." The spirit's eyes darkened. "You are not of the land anymore. You are not of the river yet. You are caught between both worlds." Ada's heart pounded. Was that true? Was she losing herself? Oak grabbed her arm. "Ada, we need a plan." Ada took a shaky breath. She had a plan. She just had to stay alive long enough to use it. Ada raised the ODU. "If I am between two worlds," she said, "then let me choose my own fate." The spirit of the land stared at her. "A mortal cannot choose." Ada lifted her chin. "Then I'll make a deal." The spirit's eyes narrowed. "A deal?" Ada nodded. "You let me pass. I will return the ODU to the river, and in return, I will never set foot on this land again." Ok's eyes widened. "Ada, what are you doing?" he whispered. Ada ignored him. She had no choice. The spirit was silent for a long time. Then, it smiled. Agreed. The trees shuddered. The vines recoiled. The path opened. Ada felt a deep, sharp pain in her chest, like something had been torn away from her. Like she had lost something. But she didn't stop. She ran forward. The land would never be her home again. But she still had a chance to save her mother. She still had the ODU. She still had the river. And as she ran, the sound of rushing water grew louder. She was almost there. The river was waiting. Ada burst from the trees. The river was before her. It stretched wide and dark, its surface glowing under the moonlight. She could feel it calling to her. Oak stopped beside her. "We made it," he breathed. Ada nodded. But she knew this was not the end. She stepped forward, the ODU pulsing in her hands. The river rippled. Then, figures rose from the water. The river spirits. Their eyes shimmered like silver. Their voices whispered like the tide. "You have returned, child of the water. Ada held her ground. I have come for my mother. The spirits tilted their heads. And what will you give in return? Ada's stomach twisted. I have the ODU, she said. The spirits laughed softly. The ODU is powerful, but power alone is not enough. Ada's hands tightened around it. What do you mean? The river churned. The ODU grants you a choice. To save your mother, you must give up something of equal value. Ada's breath caught. Something of equal value. She had already lost her place on the land. What else could she give? Then she knew. And her heart broke. The river was not asking for something. It was asking for her. Ada's body felt heavy. She had come all this way. Fought so hard. And now, the river wanted her life. She thought of her mother. Her kind, gentle mother, who had prayed for a child. Who had loved her. Who was now trapped beneath the water. Ada swallowed hard. Could she do it? Could she give herself to the river? Oak grabbed her hand. Ada, he said softly. She turned to him. His face was pale. You don't have to do this, he whispered. We can find another way. Ada shook her head. There is no other way, Oak. The river spirits waited. Choose, child. Ada looked at the ODU. Its golden shell glowed. She had been running from her destiny. But maybe this was always where she was meant to be. Slowly, she stepped forward. The water reached for her. It wrapped around her ankles, cool and smooth. Her skin shimmered brighter. Oak pulled her back. Ada, no. But she smiled sadly. I have to. The river whispered her name. The spirits stretched out their hands. Ada closed her eyes. And then she let go. She fell into the river. And the water swallowed her whole. The world went silent. The water wrapped around Ada, but it did not feel cold. It felt like home. Light swirled around her. And in the distance, she saw her mother. Floating, sleeping, trapped. Ada reached out. The ODU glowed. The river trembled. And then the spirit spoke. It is done. Ada felt a pull. Something changed inside her. The river embraced her. And when she opened her eyes, she was no longer the same. Ada sank deeper into the river. But she did not struggle. The water was warm around her. Soft, like a mother's embrace. Her skin shimmered with light. She felt the river's power rushing through her veins. She was changing. Her breath did not stop. Her heart did not race. She was not drowning. She was becoming something new. The spirits circled her. You have embraced your fate. Now, you are truly one of us. Ada's fingers tingled. She looked down. And gasped. Her legs were gone. In their place was a long, glistening tail. Shimmering like moonlight on water. She reached up to her face. Her skin was smooth, glowing. Her hair flowed like dark waves around her. She was no longer just Ada. She was of the river now. She was one of them. She was a daughter of Mommy Wada. Ada turned, searching the depths. There, floating in the water, was her mother. Her eyes were closed. Her body was still. Ada's chest tightened. Had she come too late? Had she given herself to the river for nothing? The ODU in her hands glowed. The spirit spoke again. You have given us your mortal life. Now, you may take back the life that was lost. Ada's heart leaped. She reached out. and touched her mother's hand. The Odu's light spread. The river shook. A rush of bubbles exploded around them. And then, her mother's eyes fluttered open. She gasped. Her body jerked as if waking from a long dream. "Ada," she whispered. Ada's vision blurred with tears. "Mama." Her mother reached for her. But as their hands touched, her mother's face froze. Her eyes widened. "Ada," she whispered. "What have you done?" Ada felt a sharp ache in her chest. She had saved her mother. But at what cost? She was no longer human. She could not return to the land. Her mother's hands shook. She cupped Ada's face, searching her features. Her touch was warm, so painfully familiar. But Ada was different now. She did not belong to the world above anymore. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "My child," she whispered. "I prayed for you. I fought for you. And now, I have lost you." Ada's heart broke. She had done this to save her mother. But now, she realized, her mother would never be the same. She had gained her freedom, but she had lost her daughter. Tears slipped down Ada's cheeks. She wanted to hold her, to go home, to be her mother's child again. But she could not. Not anymore. The river spirits watched in silence. Their deal had been fulfilled. Ada had made her choice. And now, she had to live with it. The river spirits rose around them. "She is free," they said. "She may return to the land." Ada's mother clutched her tightly. "Come with me," she begged. Ada's chest tightened. She wanted to. She wanted to run back to the village, sit by the fire, feel the earth beneath her feet. But the river's pull was too strong. She had been claimed. Her home was here now. She shook her head. "I can't." Her mother sobbed. "Then I will stay." Ada's eyes widened. "No, Mama. You can't." She grabbed her mother's hands. "If you stay, you will change. Like me." Her mother's body trembled. She knew Ada was telling the truth. She had only just escaped the river's grasp. If she stayed, it would take her back. Ada swallowed her pain. She smiled softly. "I love you, Mama." Her mother clutched her one last time. Then, she let go. A soft current carried her upward, toward the surface, back to the world she belonged to. Ada watched, until her mother was nothing but a shadow, until she was gone. And then, for the first time, she was alone. Ada floated in the depths of the river, staring at the place where her mother had disappeared. The water around her was silent. She could still feel her mother's warmth on her skin. But she knew she would never feel it again. Unless a new thought bloomed in her mind. What if she could return? What if she could break free? The river had taken her, but did that mean she had to stay? Ada's fingers curled into fists. She was not ready to give up. She had fought too hard for her mother. Now, she would fight for herself. She turned toward the shadows, her heart pounding. Somewhere in these waters, there had to be a way out. And she was going to find it. Ada swam deeper into the river, searching for answers. The water spirits watched her, their eyes glowing. "You belong here now," they whispered. "Why do you resist?" Ada ignored them. She had seen them trap her mother for years. They had power. But power could be broken. She had to believe that. She needed knowledge. And there was only one place she could get it. The old one. Deep beneath the river, in the place no one dared to go, was a spirit older than time. They said it knew all secrets. But they also said it told no lies. If there was a way out, the Old One would know. Ada took a deep breath. And she swam toward the forbidden depths. The deeper Ada swam, the colder the water became. Darkness closed around her. The river pulsed with ancient energy. She could feel it watching. And then, a voice rumbled through the depths. "You seek something you should not." A shadow moved. And from the darkness, the Old One appeared. Its form was shifting, sometimes human, sometimes fish, sometimes something else. Its many eyes glowed softly. Ada's heart pounded. "I want to go back to the land," she said firmly. The Old One was silent. Then it laughed. A deep, rolling sound that sent shivers through the water. "Once the river has claimed you, it does not let go." Ada clenched her fists. There must be a way. The Old One studied her. Then, it leaned closer. "There is only one way, child of water. You must find the 3 tiers of the river. Only then can the spell be undone." Ada's eyes widened. The 3 tiers. She had heard the spirits whisper about them. But no one ever spoke of them out loud. "What are they?" she asked. The Old One's eyes darkened. "The first tier lies in the mouth of the deep. The second is held by the guardian of shadows. And the third?" It paused. "The third is in the heart of Mami Wata herself." Ada's blood ran cold. Mami Wata. The goddess of the water. If she held the final tear, that meant Ada would have to face her. And win. The Old One watched her. "Leave now, child. The spirits will not be pleased with your quest." Ada swallowed hard. She had her answer. Now, she had to fight for her freedom. As soon as Ada left the Old One's cave, she knew. The spirits knew. The river shuddered around her. The water spirits whispered in the currents. She is trying to escape. She must not succeed. Ada's heart pounded. She kicked hard, swimming upward. She had to move fast. The first tier was in the mouth of the deep. She didn't know exactly where that was. But she had to find it. Before the spirits stopped her. The water around her shifted. Shadows moved. And then, a creature emerged from the darkness. Its body was long and sinuous, covered in glistening scales. Its eyes burned like golden fire. It opened its mouth, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Ada froze. She had heard of this creature before. The river serpent. The guardian of the spirits. It had been sent to stop her. Ada took a deep breath. And prepared to fight. The serpent lunged. Ada twisted away, narrowly avoiding its sharp fangs. The water boiled with its power. Its long tail whipped around, aiming for her chest. Ada dodged, but the force sent her spinning through the water. Her mind raced. She couldn't fight it with strength alone. She needed to outthink it. The serpent circled, its golden eyes locked on her. "You cannot escape, little one." Ada's breath came fast. She glanced around. There. Jagged rocks jutted from the riverbed. An idea formed. She darted toward them. The serpent followed, hissing. Ada weaved through the rocks, narrow gaps forcing her to move fast. The serpent was too big. It crashed into the rocks, its massive body getting stuck. Ada didn't wait. She swam as fast as she could, heading toward the mouth of the deep. She had won this battle. But the war was far from over. Ada swam through the vast, dark waters, her body moving fast. The river serpent was gone, but she knew the spirits were still watching. She had little time. Ahead of her, the water grew darker. colder. A deep, hollow sound echoed through the depths. She had reached the mouth of the deep. It was said to be the oldest and darkest part of the river, where even spirits feared to go. Ada shivered. If the first tier of the river was here, she would have to face whatever guarded it. She took a deep breath and swam inside. The mouth of the deep was silent. Too silent. The water felt thicker here, heavy, as if watching her. Then, a whisper. Turn back. Ada spun around. No one was there. Another whisper. You do not belong here. She gritted her teeth. I don't care, she shouted. I'm here for the first tear. The whispers grew louder. The darkness shifted. And then, something moved. A shape, tall and thin, with empty eyes. Its body was made of shadow. Ada's heart pounded. The guardian of the deep. The guardian loomed before her, its shadowy form shifting. You wish to take the first tear, it whispered. Ada nodded. The guardian tilted its head. Then you must face your greatest fear. Ada's breath caught. She felt the water around her tighten. Her mind spun. And suddenly, she was no longer in the river. She was standing on dry land. In her village. She gasped. Had she returned? But then, she saw them. The villagers. They were staring at her. Their eyes were filled with fear. With hatred. She is cursed, one shouted. She belongs to the water. Ada's heart ached. No, she whispered. I'm still me. But they did not listen. They turned away. Even her mother. Ada fell to her knees. Tears filled her eyes. This was her greatest fear. That even if she returned, she would never belong again. But then, something stirred inside her. A small, burning voice. Stand up. Ada's eyes widened. She knew this feeling. Her own strength. Her own spirit. She wiped her tears. And stood. No, she said, her voice strong. I will find my own way. The village faded. The darkness broke. And suddenly, she was back in the mouth of the deep. The guardian watched her. Then, it opened its hands. Inside was a shimmering blue tear. You have passed, it whispered. Take the first tear of the river. Ada reached out. Her fingers closed around it. The moment she touched it, a pulse of power shot through her. The first tear was hers. But two more remained. And the spirits would not let her succeed so easily. The moment Ada took the first tear, the river shuddered. A deep, angry rumble echoed through the water. The spirits had felt it. They knew. Ada's breath quickened. She had to move, fast. She gripped the tear tightly and swam toward the surface, but the water around her shifted. It was getting thicker. Heavier. As if the river itself was closing in on her. Then, a voice, cold and sharp, cut through the depths. You have stolen from the river, child. Ada froze. The water spirits had come. A shadow unfurled before her, twisting into a long, serpentine form. But this was not the river serpent. This was something worse. A spirit weaver. It did not fight with strength. It fought with illusions. Ada's heart pounded. She knew if she looked into its eyes, she would be trapped in its magic. And she would never find the next tear. She had to think fast. The spirit weaver's eyes glowed. Ada squeezed her own eyes shut. If she didn't look, it couldn't trap her. But then, a voice whispered in her ear. Ada. Her breath caught. That voice. It was her mother's. Ada's eyes snapped open. And the world changed. She was no longer in the river. She was standing in her mother's hut. Warm firelight flickered against the walls. Her mother sat before her, smiling. "You've come back," she said softly. Ada's heart ached. I want to," she whispered. "Then stay, my child. The river is too dangerous. Forget the tears. Forget the spirits. Just stay here, with me." Ada shook. She wanted this. She wanted it so badly. But something felt wrong. Her mother's hands were too cold. Her shadow flickered strangely. Then, Ada looked at the fire. It was still. No smoke. No flickering flames. It was not real. Her mother was not real. Ada gasped. The illusion cracked. And the hut shattered into water. Ada was back in the river, the spirit weaver hissing in rage. "Clever girl." It lashed out, but Ada dove away. She had broken free. But she had wasted too much time. The second tier was still out there. And the river spirits would not stop hunting her. Ada swam hard, her lungs burning. She had to reach the second tier before the spirits trapped her again. She thought of the old one's words. The second is held by the guardian of shadows. That meant one thing. She had to go to the Cave of Echoes. A place where light could not enter. A place where even spirits feared to tread. Ada gritted her teeth. She had no other choice. She turned. And swam toward the darkest part of the river. Toward the Cave of Echoes. Where the guardian of shadows waited. And where the second tear lay hidden. The water grew colder as Ada swam toward the Cave of Echoes. The riverbed beneath her turned into sharp, jagged rocks, and the light from above vanished. She could barely see. But she could feel something watching her. Waiting. The Cave of Echoes was not just any part of the river. It was a place where no living thing dared to go. A place where shadows whispered secrets and swallowed those who strayed too far. Ada's breath shook. She was alone. And she had to face whatever lurked inside. She took a deep breath. And entered the cave. The moment Ada passed the entrance, the cave closed around her. The water was heavy here, pressing against her like unseen hands. The walls were slick, covered in black moss that seemed to move when she wasn't looking. Then, a voice whispered, "Who dares enter my domain?" Ada froze. The water ahead of her shifted. And from the darkness, a shape emerged. A figure made entirely of shadows, its glowing eyes like burning moons. The guardian of shadows. Ada's heart pounded. "You seek the second tear," it murmured. "But only those who face their own darkness may claim it." The water around Ada rippled. And suddenly, she was falling. Ada landed on solid ground. But she was still underwater. The cave had changed. She was standing in a vast, empty space, surrounded by endless blackness. No river. No spirits. No sound. Just her. Then, footsteps. Soft. Slow. Coming toward her. Ada spun around. And gasped. Standing before her was herself. But this Ada was different. Her skin was gray, her eyes dark and hollow. She stared at Ada with cold hatred. "You do not belong in the river," the shadow Ada said. "You do not belong in the village." Ada's throat tightened. "You are nothing," the shadow Ada whispered. "A child caught between two worlds. A child who will never belong." Ada's hands shook. Was it true? Would she ever belong anywhere? Her worst fear was staring her in the face. She could run. Or she could fight. Ada took a deep breath. "No," she said, her voice stronger than before. The shadow Ada tilted her head. "I am more than what you say I am," Ada continued. "I am my mother's daughter. I am a child of the river. And I will decide my own path." The shadow Ada hissed. The darkness around them shook. Ada stood her ground. The shadow let out a final, piercing scream. And shattered into nothing. The cavern rippled. The trial was over. And in the darkness, a soft blue glow appeared. The second tier of the river. Ada stepped forward and took it. The moment she touched it, a wave of power rushed through her. She had won. But the river would not let her go so easily. The final test was still ahead. And the spirits were growing angrier. The moment Ada grasped the second tier, the entire cave shuddered. The shadows twisted, the water pulsed, and a deep, furious voice echoed through the river. "Enough." Ada's breath hitched. The river itself was speaking. A sudden current surged through the water, dragging her from the cave. She tumbled through the river's depths, her body spinning wildly. And then she saw them. The spirits of the water. Dozens of glowing, ethereal figures surrounding her, their faces grim. The river spirits had come for her. "You have stolen from us," one hissed. "You seek what is not yours." Ada clenched her fists. "This power was given to me the day I was born," she shot back. "You do not understand the cost," another spirit whispered. Ada's heart pounded. A cost. What price would she have to pay to claim the final tier? The spirits raised their hands. And the water collapsed around her. Ada's vision blurred. She was no longer in the river. She stood in a vast, endless ocean. The sky was black. The stars above were red. And in front of her was a figure draped in silver robes, their face hidden. "You must understand what you are fighting for," the figure said. Ada's throat tightened. "Who are you?" she whispered. The figure lifted their head. And Ada gasped. She was staring at a reflection of herself. But this version of Ada looked older, wiser, and infinitely sad. "If you take the third tier, you will never be the same again. You will not be able to return to your old life." Ada's stomach twisted. This was the cost. If she took the final tier, she would belong to the river forever. Would she risk it? Or would she turn back now? The illusion broke. Ada was back in the river, the spirits still watching her. "Now you know the truth," one whispered. "What will you choose?" Ada clenched her fists. She had come too far. She had faced the serpent. She had battled the guardian of shadows. She had proven her strength. She could not stop now. "I will finish what I started," she said firmly. The spirits shook their heads. "Then may the river have mercy on you." A wave of darkness crashed over her. And when Ada opened her eyes, she was somewhere new. The final trial had begun. Ada drifted in the water, her heart heavy with the spirit's warning. If she took the final tier, she might never return to her old life. She clenched her fists. She needed help. Someone who understood the river's magic. Someone who had faced the spirits before. And there was only one person who could help her. The Old One. The mysterious woman who had first told her of the 3 tiers. Ada took a deep breath. And swam toward the hidden village of the river people. The village sat on the edge of the great river, hidden deep within the reeds. Huts made of woven palm leaves floated on wooden stilts, their torches flickering in the mist. The people here were different from the ones in Ada's village. Their eyes held secrets. Their movements were as fluid as the water itself. They were children of the river. Just like Ada. As she climbed onto one of the wooden docks, the villagers stared. They could sense the power within her. She did not belong here. Yet, she did. A woman stepped forward, her long silver braids swaying like the river's current. The Old One. "You have come back," she murmured. Ada swallowed hard. "I need your help." The Old One studied her for a long moment. "You seek the final tear," she said. Ada nodded. The woman sighed. "The last tear is not like the others. It is the tear of destiny. Once it is claimed, there is no turning back." Ada's throat tightened. She had known this. But hearing it from the Old One made it feel real. The old woman took a step closer. "I will help you," she said. "But you must be willing to sacrifice everything." That night, Ada sat by the river with the Old One. A fire crackled between them, casting long shadows over the water. "The final tear is held by the keeper of the deep," the Old One explained. "A spirit more powerful than any you have faced." Ada swallowed. "How do I defeat it?" she asked. The Old One shook her head. "You do not defeat the keeper. You must convince it to give you the tear." Ada's brow furrowed. "Convince a spirit? How?" The Old One reached into her satchel and pulled out a small, carved shell. "This will lead you to the keeper's domain," she said. "But once you enter, the river's magic will test your soul." Ada took the shell, its surface smooth and warm. She had come too far to turn back now. She would face the keeper and claim the final tear, no matter the cost. Ada stood at the edge of the forbidden waters, gripping the carved shell tightly. The Old One had told her what to do. Drop the shell into the water under the full moon, and the path will reveal itself. The moon hung bright and heavy in the sky. Taking a deep breath, Ada released the shell. The moment it touched the surface, the water shimmered, turning into a swirling silver vortex. Without hesitation, Ada dove in. She felt herself pulled down, 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 deeper than she had ever gone before. The world above faded into darkness. And then, she landed on solid ground. Ada looked around. She was no longer in the river. She stood in a vast underwater palace, its walls made of glistening coral and glowing pearls. The water here did not feel heavy, it felt alive. And at the center of the palace sat the keeper of the deep. It was not a creature, nor a spirit in human form. It was a great shifting presence, made of flowing water, glowing like the moonlight on the sea. Its voice echoed through the chamber. "Why have you come, child of the river?" Ada took a deep breath. "I seek the final tear," she said. The keeper's form rippled. "Do you think you deserve it?" Ada hesitated. She knew she could not lie to this being. "I don't know if I deserve it," she admitted. "But I need it." The keeper's glow darkened. "To take the final tear, you must give something in return." Ada's heart pounded. She knew the cost would be great. And she had to be careful. This was her moment. She could not let the keeper control the game. She had to outsmart it. Ada took a step forward, tilting her head. "You ask for something in return," she said. "But why should I give anything at all?" The keeper stilled. Ada smiled, just a little. "I know what you are," she continued. "You are bound by rules. The river gave you power, but it also gave you limits." The keeper's form shivered, as if Ada had touched upon a hidden truth. "If I answer your riddle correctly," she pressed on, "you must give me the tear. That is the law of spirits, isn't it?" For the first time, the keeper seemed amused. "A riddle," it echoed. "Very well, child of the river." The water around them shifted, forming a glowing circle. "If you answer my riddle correctly, you may claim the final tear." But if you fail, you will remain here forever. Ada's fingers clenched. She had one chance. Here is my riddle, the keeper said. The chamber hummed with magic. I have no mouth, yet I whisper. I have no legs, yet I run. I can be seen, but never held. What am I? Ada's breath hitched. She had heard this before. A lesson from the elders. A lesson from her mother. The answer was so simple. And yet, so powerful. Her lips curled into a small, knowing smile. She had outsmarted the keeper. And she knew it. Ada looked up at the keeper, confidence glowing in her eyes. The answer, she said, is the river. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, the keeper's form shimmered. The great being laughed, its voice echoing through the palace like rolling waves. You are clever, child of the river. Clever enough to take what you seek. The water pulsed, and before Ada, a single glowing blue gem appeared. The final tear. She had one. Slowly, Ada reached out and took the tear into her palm. The moment she touched it, a wave of power rushed through her, stronger than anything she had felt before. She was no longer just Ada. She was something more. The keeper's form began to fade. The river has chosen you, it murmured. Your destiny is sealed. As the world around her dissolved, Ada knew. There was no turning back. Ada felt herself rising through the water, the final tear pulsing in her hand. The world around her shifted. And suddenly, she broke through the surface of the river. The moon hung high above, its light dancing on the waves. She was back. She was home. With a deep breath, Ada swam toward the shore, her heart pounding. She had claimed the 3 tiers of the river. She had faced the spirits, outsmarted the keeper, and survived. But what awaited her in the village? Would they still see her as one of them? Or had she become something else? As Ada approached the village, she heard the sound of drums. Torches burned bright. People stood gathered by the riverbank, their eyes wide with wonder. They had been waiting for her. Ada, a familiar voice cried. Her mother. Ada barely had time to take a breath before she was pulled into a warm, tight embrace. My child, her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. I thought I had lost you. Ada clung to her mother, feeling the weight of everything she had been through. I had to finish the journey, she whispered. I had to come back. A deep voice rumbled from the crowd. The girl has returned, the village elder said. But has she returned as one of us? All eyes turned to Ada. For a moment, she did not know what to say. She had been changed. The river had marked her. But she was still Ada. Still her mother's daughter. Still a child of the village. She stepped forward and raised the final tear. I am still me, she declared, her voice strong. But I am also more. The tear glowed, bathing the village in soft blue light. The people gasped, not in fear, but in awe. The elder stepped closer, his face unreadable. The river has chosen you, he murmured. Ada met his gaze. I choose the village, she said. I choose home. A beat of silence. And then, a roar of cheers. The drums thundered, voices rose in song, and Ada knew. She had not lost herself. She had found who she was meant to be. And as the village danced under the moonlight, Ada stood tall. The guardian of the river. The protector of her people. And for the first time in a long time, she was truly, truly happy.